Hi there, welcome back to our tutorial series on YouTube brought to you by the O3SCHOOLS JAMB app. O3SCHOOLS JAMB app is available for download on Play Store. Download this to help you with preparations for your exams. So in our today's class, we're looking at discipleship. Discipleship. And a disciple is a person committed to following another. A disciple is a person committed to following another. A disciple is an active follower, one who learns from another person and passes on the teachings to others. So you believe in the teachings of the person you're following, that you are able to explain to others, trying to make them believe the same way you believe. That's a disciple. Now, so many people follows Jesus and listen to his teachings, but he selected 12 to be his disciples. These 12 disciples went with Jesus wherever he went. They studied at his feet and they went out to also preach the gospel, just like Jesus was doing. They were committed followers. Now, in this class, we're going to look at the call of the first disciples as it is recorded in the book of Matthew, the book of Mark, and the book of Luke. So we'll start from Matthew's account. In Matthew chapter 4 and 9, how Jesus calls the first disciples. In Matthew chapter 4, as Jesus was walking by the Sea of Galilee, he met two brothers, Simon Peter and Andrew. They were fishermen. And when Jesus saw them, they were casting their net into the sea. So Jesus asked them to follow him. He said to them, "Follow me and I will make you fishers of men." Immediately, Simon Peter and Andrew left their boat, left their net, and followed Jesus. Now, along the way, while they were walking, they came across two other brothers, James and John. They were the sons of Zebedee. Now, James and John were in the boat with their father, mending nets. Jesus called out to them, and immediately they left their boat, left their father, and followed Jesus. Again, Jesus saw Matthew. Matthew was sitting in the tax collector's office when Jesus called him to follow Jesus, and he did. Now, these were the first disciples according to Matthew's account: Simon Peter, Andrew, James, John, and Matthew. Now, while Jesus was dining in Matthew's house, other tax collectors and sinners came and sat at the table with Jesus and his disciples. The Pharisees saw this and condemned Jesus. They wondered why Jesus would be eating with tax collectors and other sinners. Jesus overheard them and told them that those that are well had no need of physicians. So he didn't come for the righteous. He came for the sinners so that he could call them to repentance. Now, this is Matthew's account of the call of the first disciples. I will say the first disciples according to Matthew as Simon Peter, Andrew, James, John, and Matthew. Then in Mark's account, in Mark chapter 1 and 2. Mark's account is similar to Matthew's account. These were also the first disciples that Jesus called according to Mark. Just the difference is in the details provided by Mark. For example, in the call of James and John, Matthew only told us that they were in the boat with their father. But in the book of Mark, there were also hired servants in the boat. Also, Matthew was called Levi. Matthew was called Levi in the book of Mark. Those are the differences between Matthew's account and Mark's account of the call of the first disciples. Luke gave a different account in Luke chapter 5. In the book of Luke, Jesus was at the lake of Gennesaret. There, the multitude pressed about him, wanting to hear the word. And there were boats by the lake, but the fishermen who owned the boat had gone to wash their nets. Now, Jesus got into the boat of Simon Peter. He asked Peter to row a little away from land. Then he sat down and taught the multitudes from the boat. By the time Jesus was done, he then asked Simon to row farther away into the lake and let down his net. And Simon said to Jesus that although they had toiled all night and caught nothing, they didn't catch anything all throughout the night, but because Jesus had asked him to do it now, at Jesus' word, he would lay down the net. When he did, he caught a great number of fish that the net was breaking, and he had to call on other fishermen to help. James and John were part of the fishermen that came to help. So they came to help Simon Peter. They filled their nets to sinking capacity. When Peter saw this, he was afraid, and he asked Jesus to depart from him because he was a sinful man. But Jesus asked him not to be afraid, but because from now on, he will become a fisher of men. He wasn't going to catch fishes anymore. He will begin to catch men. So they brought the boat back to land and abandoned it, following Jesus. So Simon Peter, James, and John followed Jesus at the same time. Then they also met Levi. Luke also referred to Matthew as Levi, just like Mark did. They also met Levi at the tax office, and Jesus called him to follow them. So according to Luke's account, the first disciples that Jesus called were Simon Peter, James, John, and Levi. But in total, Jesus had 12 disciples. They are Peter, Andrew, James, John, Matthew, Philip, Thomas, Simon, James, the son of Alphaeus, Bartholomew, Judas, Thaddeus, and Judas Iscariot. So these are the 12 disciples of Jesus in total. Now we look at the demands of this discipleship, qualities that disciples should possess. First, we have total commitment. Jesus said in Luke chapter 14, verse 25, that if anyone wanted to follow him and he doesn't hate his father, his mother, his wife, his children, his brothers and sisters, even his own life, that he was not worthy to become a disciple. Also, when someone told Jesus that he would follow Jesus, but wanted to go and bid farewell to those at his house, Jesus told him that anyone who puts his hand on the plow and looks back is not worthy to, or is not fit, rather, to be in the kingdom. So you have total commitment. If you want to be a disciple, you should be totally committed, forsaking all other things, leaving all other distractions to follow Jesus. Then we have self-denial. Someone told Jesus that he would follow him, and Jesus told him that foxes have holes, even birds of the air have nests, but he, Jesus, doesn't have a place that he calls home. He doesn't have where he lays his head. So he was trying to prepare the person's mind that if you are really willing to follow me, be rest assured that you will deny yourself, earthly comforts and luxuries. So that's self-denial. Another qualities that disciples should possess. Then we have willingness to carry the cross. We have willingness to carry the cross. Jesus said, whoever is not willing to bear his cross and follow him is not willing to become his disciple. This is it for discipleship. A disciple is a person committed to following another. And then we looked at the account of the call of the first disciples, Matthew's account, Mark's account, and Luke's account. We also looked at the first disciples that Jesus called, and then all 12 disciples of Jesus, as well as the qualities that these disciples should possess: total commitment, self-denial, and willingness to carry the cross. Before we look at the O3SCHOOLS JAMB app, to get questions that have been asked on this topic, please don't forget to like this video, comment below, and also subscribe. You don't want to miss out when we put out new classes. Now, here's a question. According to Matthew, the first two disciples to be called by Jesus were A. Peter and Andrew, B. Peter and John, C. James and John, D. James and Andrew. According to the account of Matthew, Jesus was walking by the Sea of Galilee and he saw Peter and his brother Andrew. So the first disciples of Jesus, according to Matthew's account, is A. Peter and Andrew. Another question says, why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? On what occasion was this question asked? A. Following the call of Matthew. B. When Jesus ate in the house of Zacchaeus. C. When Jesus fed the multitude. A. Following the invitation of Jesus to a meal by a Pharisee. The answer is A. Following the call of Matthew, or Levi as he is called in Mark's and Luke's account. So after Jesus had called Matthew, he dined in Matthew's house, and other tax collectors and sinners came to eat with him. The Pharisees then asked the disciples why Jesus would eat with tax collectors and sinners. We have, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. This statement above implies that A. Discipleship costs much. B. The Son of Man needs no house. C. Suffering is inevitable in life. D. Church buildings are unnecessary. A. Discipleship costs much. If you are willing to be a disciple, know that you will not talk about having houses or somewhere comfortable to sleep. So discipleship costs much. And that question here says, leave the dead to bury their own dead. Jesus' statement above to the man he asked to follow him was indicative of A. His power over death. B. His desire to save the man. C. The futility of life. D. The cost of discipleship. It's still D. The cost of discipleship. The man told Jesus that he would follow Jesus, but he wanted to go and bury his father first. But Jesus told him, leave the dead to bury their dead. If you want to follow me, you have to follow me now. So the cost of discipleship, the answer is option D. Now, you can get access to more questions on the app. All you have to do is download the O3SCHOOLS JAMB app from Play Store.